The Trigger Spoon Jr., big enough to draw strikes from trophy trout, small enough to round up a limit of pan-sized fryers, and the perfect spoon to put on the end of your line when the trolling gets tough. Pick up your kit of Trigger Spoon Juniors today at fishhuntshoot.com. Howdy guys, Cal Kellogg here. I'm going to start out talking about cameras, but I'm going to end up talking about safety, and I'm going to share some stories. But let's start off with the cameras. A lot of guys ask me what kind of cameras I run. Out on the kayak, it's all about GoPros. They're waterproof, they're dependable, they just flat out work. They work real well in that kind of situation. And I've got mine rigged up with microphones and everything so I can film continuously. And maybe I'll show that rig later on, in the future here on the channel. But right now, this video is kind of a milestone. A couple years ago, I bought a Canon PowerShot SX60 HS SLR camera, a video capable camera. I've shot a lot of stills with it, but I haven't done a lot of video production with it. Let's get a look at that camera right now. There it is right there. You can see it. It's in a gooseneck mount. I've just got it hooked up on the window of my Suburban. It looks just like that. This is one model below where you could get into the changeable lenses, which wasn't that important for me. I just wanted one that would give, high quality still images, something that was kind of a point and shoot, or at least had that point and shoot capacity. But it is a fully capable SLR video shooting camera, and I think it's going to really allow me to up my game here on the channel. The video is going to be higher quality. It's just going to look better. The sound should be better. It should just be a major improvement. I don't know why it took me 2 years, but it did. Probably because this little camera right here, this Canon Vixia, has been so dependable and so easy to use. Most of the static video you've seen me, use here on the channel was shot with this camera right here. It's a very dependable camera. It's only about a $199 camera. It's very rugged. It does a great job. But I think this Canon PowerShot is going to do an even better job. So I'll still be using the Vixia here, but I'm going to be using that Canon quite a bit too. Let's get to my stories and talk about safety. So here's the story. I'm out on Shasta. I'm on the houseboat trip, and I decide I want to jump in my Hobie and I want to paddle up into the mouth of the Pitt River Arm, which was kind of right across the arm from where I had the houseboat connected to shore. Gina's going to stay at the houseboat with the dog. I'm going to paddle out and see if I can catch some bass and trout and maybe try for catfish. So the wind's kind of blowing. Nothing I can't handle in the Hobie. And I get back in this cove, and back there in the Pitt River Arm, there's all this standing timber, which is, it's unique for California. It's really cool. And you're seeing some of that footage right now, put over the top of me talking. And so I get back in there and I catch a bass, I catch another bass, no trout around, and I decide, you know what, I want to try catfishing. I want to cast out some bait, maybe a big wad of night crawlers or something on one rod, and then I want to work a jig or a plastic worm on another rod and see what's creeping around in these trees. So, but I'm having a hard time staying in one place because it is windy, and the video doesn't really give justice to how windy it was. It was a pretty stiff breeze. It was pushing pretty good. So I get an idea. I say, well, why don't I tether myself to one of these trees? Sounds like a good idea to me. I've got a bungee cord. I've got everything I need. So I pedal up to these trees. Now remember, Shasta was formed back in like the 30s or 40s. So these trees been standing there for a long time, a really long time. Whatever. I spot a nice tree in the kind of the spot that I think I want to fish. I pull up to the tree. I whip a bungee cord around the tree. I hook it to either side of the tree on the H rail of the Hobie, and I'm all set. As soon as I do that, the wind pushes me around the tree, and the wind's, it's pushing me fairly good, but the tree's there, and I'm tethered to the tree, and the tree's right here to my left, and yeah, fantastic, whatever. So I'm sitting there, and I cast out a rod, and I'm playing with my other rod, and I start thinking, gee, I don't know how secure this tree is. And then, and these thoughts are coming fast, I remember back to when I was deer hunting on a piece of property outside of Red Bluff, and I had a tree stand, and I wanted to trim some shooting lanes. So I just had a handsaw, and I'm kind of trimming a bush here, trimming a limb there. So I got some shooting lanes, and I came up on this dead oak tree, and it was 12 inches around her, so it was a pretty decent size oak tree. And I'm trimming a limb off of it, and I'm pushing on it with my left hand, and I could feel the whole tree flexing. And I give it a shove, and the whole tree just falls over. Kaboom! And right then, the thought struck me. What if this tree that I'm tethered to is very weak, I'm pulling on it? What happens if the tree falls over? Well, I'll tell you what would have happened if the tree would have fallen over. It was a big tree. It would have fallen across my waist, probably broken my legs or crushed my pelvis or some other bad action. It would have busted up the kayak. It would have pinned me. I probably would have drowned or wish I'd have drowned or nothing good would have happened if that tree had fallen over. And I could not get that tether off that tree fast enough. Okay. So here's the moral of the story. When you're out in the woods hunting or when you're out on the water fishing, you want to do your utmost to stay safe. Think through all the possible consequences of what you're doing. Wear that hunter orange if you're hunting. If you're climbing trees, to a tree stand, wear a safety harness. If you're out in a kayak, wear that life vest all the time, the whole time. Don't take chances. And even if you think in those terms, which I do, I'm like Mr. Safety. I'm out there a lot by myself. I try to be as safe as I possibly can be. You will still overlook little things that could result in a major tragedy. And that's what I did at Shasta. And I got off the hook. I got off cheap. I could have died right there that day easily. Those trees have been in the water for decades. And luckily, I picked one that was strong enough to hold the weight of me and that kayak in the wind at that moment. And, that was just pure luck. But just remember, hunting and fishing, statistically, very safe sports, but you are exposing yourself to danger, so try to stack the odds in your favor. Think things through, think about what could happen, and avoid danger at every turn if possible. You should carry, if you're going out hunting or fishing by yourself, you should have a safety beacon, you should let people know where you're going, and you should be ready for trouble. Try not to get yourself in trouble. Try to think through everything, but always be ready for trouble and let people know where you're at in case trouble comes and you're not in a position to get yourself out of it. At least they can send some rescue personnel out there to find you and maybe help you through the situation. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm Cal Kellogg. I'm enjoying my new camera. I will catch you later right here on YouTube. If you're looking for trout fishing gear, go on over to fishhuntshoot.com and we'll hook you up with what you need. I will catch you real soon. I'm Cal Kellogg.